whenever you create an environment whereby you put yourself in position of teacher or superior information, you automatically create a distance between you and the person you're trying to connect with. That is why a lot of teachers are teachers. It's a way to avoid intimacy. It may be valuable, it may be needed and necessary, you know, in a classroom maybe, but in a relationship, it only disturbs and destroys intimacy when in a relationship a non-peer form takes place. And by the way, it's very, very common. It's very common that happens. Let's say, for example, the man may be a professor. Let's say he's distinguished in his intellect. And let's say, for example, that the woman that he's with is not as developed as he is in her mental capacities and her mental faculties. She just can't match him intellectually. He can use that to create a non-peer structure in a relationship which would have caused him to avoid having to deeply be in his heart, because he can control at some level the energy of the relationship by his intellect. He can literally abuse you with logic. So it's important to be aware of that, and it's just not healthy for intimacy. Therefore, in order for intimacy to occur, people have to be conscious not to bring in their area of superior knowledge into the relationship as a means to control the relationship. Therefore, if this guy's a professor at work, it's important that he doesn't bring his professor with him at home. He doesn't bring that back in the home. Like, at home, you are both equals. You are peers. There is no difference between you. What I'm talking about is using our gifts and then using them in such a way in our relationship to create distance by placing ourselves in a position of superiority. Therefore, as a means to control the relationship, and a means to avoid intimacy, I begin to teach. So I start thinking that I know better, so I now become the teacher in the relationship. Now, I might be a very, very good teacher, but the fact is that when you try and teach each other in relationship, that just destroys intimacy. Now, the same thing about if you happen to be an incredible psychotherapist, that's wonderful. But if you try and be the therapist for your husband, suddenly your intimacy will die. Because that dynamic of where you become the source of something for him in that way, it upsets the polarity. And it disturbs the flow of energy that naturally flows between his heart and yours. If you think about it, when you go to a psychotherapist, you're not really having a heart connection with them. You're not exchanging a love and an intimacy. In fact, the dynamic is set up in a professional way to avoid you getting attached in that way. In fact, they will make sure that you